You're listening to Female Founders with Claire Bartlett, the podcast that tells you what it is really like to be a female founder in today's world. We share invaluable insights through personal journeys and real-life business experiences, highlighting the highs and the lows so you can move forward in your business with ease. I am passionate to share with you the realities of business and give you the strategies and simple steps you need to truly succeed with your business. Today's episode is brought to you by Xero Accounting Software, a champion of female entrepreneurs and a proud sponsor of the Female Founders podcast. Managing your business finances can feel overwhelming, but Xero simplifies it all and gives you the power to keep your books in order and your mind on growth. Xero have offered an amazing 50% discount off your first 3 months with them to all our listeners. So if you'd like to take advantage of this amazing deal, then follow the link in the show notes today. But for now, let's jump into this week's episode. Welcome to Female Founders. I'm your host, Claire Bartlett, and in today's episode, I'd like to introduce Mia Wilkins, who's the owner of Wealthy Woman Club, a platform that is all about empowering women across all levels of financial experience and income to enhance their financial literacy and make their money work for them to secure a financially independent future. Mia, welcome to Female Founders.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So we connected last year, wasn't it, on Instagram? We had some sort of mutual interests and mutual goals for our businesses. And we actually did some lives, I think, didn't we, at the time? So we knew that we can chat quite easily, can't we? That went on quite...
It went on, yeah. Time flew. Time flies when you're having fun.
It did. So today, the first question I'm going to hit you with is, if you look back on your journey, has there been a pivotal moment or a pivotal person that you can attribute sort of your journey to, and what has put you on this path to where you are now in business?
That's a big question. We're diving straight in the deep end.
I know, yeah.
Not a pivotal moment, but I do believe I have a pivotal person. And reflecting on my journey, obviously I'm a money coach, so whenever I really refer to a journey, it's a financial journey, but of course that massively ties into business and founding the Wealthy Woman Club. And I would have to say that's my mum. So when I was growing up in my childhood, it was mainly me, my brother and my mum, and we struggled with money. My mum was in quite a significant amount of debt. I spoke about this last night on a live inside my membership that I have, and I spoke about my earliest memory with when it came to money and being self-aware that we struggled. It was something that was scarce. It was something that there was a lack of, and I remember being on holiday. So I was about seven or eight, I think.
Okay. And so quite young to be thinking about things like that, yeah.
Yeah, if I picture like a 7-8-year-old now, it's like, wow, that's very young. And my grandparents used to take me and my brother away on holiday every year for a few years, just in England, in Weymouth, if you've ever been there.
Yeah.
Beautiful place.
Quintessential English seaside as well.
Yes, 100%. And we went there, and as a child, I wish it happened as an adult, people tend to give you spending money to go away with, like this was sort of nearly 20 years ago, so kind of like £5 here, £5 there, and I had a little bit of money to go away with, and we were a few days into the holiday, and my Pap said, that's what I call, I think it's quite a local thing. So my granddad, he said, are you not are you not going to buy anything? You know, do you not want to spend your money? And coming from home and knowing that we struggled with money, when I got given money, I just wanted to keep it. Even at
Mm.
the age, I thought anything that I spend it on that isn't 100% absolutely necessary would be a waste, because if I spend that money, it won't come back. And
God.
I think, yeah, and so I think that being the age that I am now and having done the work on kind of money mindset, I'm able to look back on that situation and say that is what happened. I
Mm.
think there is other moments and other memories that contributed to me looking back on my childhood and saying, yeah, we did struggle with money. And I think having first-hand experience of my mum struggle with money and struggle with debt and kind of spiral mentally because of that is
Mm.
why I've got to the point now where, and I would just like to say, you know, on the record, this is through no fault of her own, because,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
we aren't financially educated, we aren't taught how to manage money in schools or anything like that. And it's me looking back on that now as an adult and thinking, actually, that is very pivotal in my journey to be where I am now, because I got to the point where I was leaving university and I felt like I was heading in that same direction, that same, you know, because I hadn't been
Mm.
taught any different. I was just, you know, following my parents' footsteps, kinds of as you do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I asked myself, or really reflected on the question, there has to be another way. It can't just go
Mm.
like this. That
Mm.
I really started to kickstart my journey into basically where I am today. So I'd have to say my mum.
So it wasn't in the beginning, though. It wasn't from that age of 7 that you've sort of known that there was another way. You went all through university with these sort of deep-rooted mindset about money, and it was when you started, I suppose, standing on your own 2 feet and moving into the adult world that you started to reassess things. And I think that's so common for so many of us on all different levels, that we
Mhm.
have these deep rooted thoughts that are not our own, that have come from things that we saw or heard when we were younger. And so often they're holding us back in our adult lives and we don't even realize. And it's only when you open that door and start asking yourself those questions, like you say, that you start thinking, well, no, that's not my belief or my thoughts around money. That was actually my mum's, or, you know, wherever it came from. So I
Mhm.
think that's amazing that you, because you straight after uni, that's still quite young, really, to be asking yourself those questions and making those changes.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and it set you
Yeah.
up then, didn't it, for where you are today? So
Yeah, I mean, just from the work I've been doing and the clients that I've had, I most commonly will work with women in their 40s or their 50s.
yeah,
And it's really testament to the fact that you are never too late to start bettering your financial future. You are never too old to start getting financially educated. You will always reap benefits from it, regardless of your age. But
yeah,
it wasn't till I started to gain a client basis where I was working regularly with loads of different women that I realized that I was very young to
mm,
to be thinking that, and to have those thoughts. And I can't pinpoint a moment or uh kind of a person that made me think that. It was just what I was thinking at the time. And I'm very fortunate from such a young age to have had those thought processes and to have had that
yeah,
mentality. And I don't know if I hadn't had the experiences that I did have when I was younger, whether I would have been thinking that way. So I am very grateful for my childhood, because I doubt that I would be in this position today. But equally, I'm grateful for at the age that I discovered
yeah,
financial education and the power it has in changing the trajectory of your life. And I'm
mm,
equally grateful for that, for sure.
yeah. No, I think I've seen this pattern a lot so I work with a lot of women. Obviously, the podcast is Female Founders, and I've had a lot of female clients from my other business, which is a bookkeeping practice. So it's all about money. And the majority of female clients that I've had, they struggle around talking about money and sort of owning it and being like open about it. And I think that, men too suffer with this sometimes, but I do find it's more deep rooted in women, and especially in the British culture, it's not polite to talk about money, is it? That's how it's seen in the UK. But I think because we don't think it's polite to talk about it, and then we shy away from it, that we don't have these open conversations around it. And then that leads us to having these deep rooted thought processes that are not our own, but we've never voiced them. So we don't know that that's not the normal way, if that makes sense. And I think being open about it like you are, and like I am with my clients, and opening up that conversation around money can really help people move forward. And I think there's so often that we move into adult life and we're still dragging these financial burdens with us from childhood. So I had to do a lot of money mindset on myself, but mine was actually from sort of the opposite of yours in a way. So we had a comfortable childhood financially. I never wanted for anything. But on the flip of that, I was never shown that actually my parents were working really hard to achieve that. So for me, it was that money was just sort of abundant and you didn't have to worry about it. And then when I left home, I was still, my car was still paid for. And I know this makes me sound like a real, very spoiled. And I really wasn't. I worked from the age of 13. I've always worked for my own money as well. But it wasn't until I met my husband, actually, that I thought, this might not be that normal, and I'm not standing on my own 2 feet. And I got myself in a lot of debt because I thought money wasn't sort of real. It was just, it just kept coming, and it didn't. And then I had to spend a long time getting myself out of that debt. But like you mentioned earlier, if it was covered in the curriculum when you were at school, there'd be so much more abundant money for people. People would handle it so much better. There'd be less debt. It would just be such a huge overhaul for the whole country if we just talked about money and financial education at that point in school. And I just wonder whether the government will ever do anything about that. But, we'll have to see, won't we?
Yeah, there's some very interesting points you touched on there. The fact that we had opposite upbringings, childhoods when it came to money, but they equally could have manifested in the same way. So one similarity, despite our experiences being polar opposite, was the fact that we were still not taught money management.
Yeah, exactly.
So we weren't financially educated, like you say, it is through no one's fault. And it's understandable why you went the way that you did, and it would be understandable for me to equally be poor at managing money when you look at our backgrounds, because we, like you say, we don't talk about money. And through my experience, only good things come from talking about money. So if I start working with a client who's never spoke about money before and has decided that they really want to start managing their money better, they want to make their money work harder for them, we end up talking about money a lot, and only positive things come from that. So actually, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot by making it, or by supporting the idea that it is wrong to talk about money, because in fact, in my experience, only good can come from talking about money. And I think in terms of the government and putting financial education in the curriculum, I don't know whether it would cause more of an issue as such if more people were financially educated, because more people would rely less on the government and would look less at the government to secure them in retirement, to be employed in jobs, to follow this very set path that society has. And I think when you do get financially educated and you do become more financially literate and financially confident, you end up straying away from that society's path. And I don't know whether that would cause kind of them more issues as opposed for it being what's best for everyone
For the
in society
country.
to thrive. Yeah.
That is a very interesting thought, and I had not thought of that at all. But yeah, that's very interesting that it might, although it might be best for their country, it might not be best for their agenda, maybe.
Yeah, it's an
Interesting.
interesting.
Going back though, so you said obviously there's only ever good things have come from speaking about money and opening up those conversations, but have there ever been any sort of really spectacular failures in your business that you have actually learned a lot from, and how did you move on from those?
Great question. And I think that the thing that I've learned in business is that failure is great. So
Hmm.
failure to me is just a lesson learned. Obviously, you want whatever it is you're doing to work straight away, and you want it to be amazing, and you want it to scale really quickly. However, if it doesn't, and things don't go as planned or don't go as the ideal, you only learn lessons from that. And I think it's important to
Mm.
make sure that you take those lessons and actually apply them, not just go, this didn't work, and then, sack it off or give up or whatever. In my business journey, I don't have any massive, spectacular failures as such. I think I've failed. I've had minor failures, but a lot more frequently.
Yeah.
In Yeah, I think in business, especially if you're just starting a business or you've had this, idea you've been pondering on, or you're in the very early stages of business, I think
Mhm.
everything is new. Literally every single thing you do is new. So,
Yeah.
from perhaps setting up a website to posting on social media to creating things like landing pages to perhaps building a podcast, to launching a course to uh, doing a retreat, all of these things, whatever it is that you're doing in business, I think that every single step along the way is new. So you might, like, for example, launching the Female Founders podcast. Every
Hmm.
single step of the way there was a question. It's not just go launch a podcast. It's where do I launch it?
I
How do I
wish.
launch it? Which mic do I get? Which camera do I get? Do I get a certain tripod? How do
Yeah.
I upload the audio? How do I edit it? A billion and one questions. And I think
It's all
you
trial and error at the
it
end of the
is,
day.
and every single thing you do, you might fall at that little hurdle, but
Hmm.
actually you're still, if it kind of in a kind of running example, you might fall at the hurdle, but you're still making your way around the track. And the next time you come to that hurdle, you just jump straight over it. And I
Yeah.
think looking on my business journey, I haven't had something where I've been like, that was an absolute bomb. That was a massive failure. I think that I fail regularly, but I think that there is only lessons to be learned in that, and it helps you move a lot quicker. So
Yeah.
now, as opposed to if I was launching something in my business, instead of it taking me 6 months and I'm pondering on the idea, I have to have the best this, I have to have the best that, I have to be really ready, I have to be in the right mindset, I might have a cold this week, okay, I'll wait till I'm better. Things, there's lots of reasons why you can't
Yeah.
start something. And what I've learned is that the quicker I get it out there, the quicker I will learn the lessons, the quicker I will know if it's success. I can pick it apart and go, okay, this works, that doesn't work, improve that, change that, and I'm still making progress forward. So I couldn't say that I have had one spectacular failure. However, I've had many small ones, but I think that's only allowed me to move quicker and easier in my business.
Yeah. So I have a really favourite saying that's progression, not perfection. And I
Yeah.
think that's just epitomises what you've just said, that, we can so often get sort of frozen in place because we're trying to get perfection in whatever it is that we're working on.
Mhm.
Perfection doesn't exist. If you just keep moving forward and just keep progressing, and yes, you'll probably stumble lots of times and learn new things, or you might not have the perfect microphone in the beginning, but then as you go along, you can progress and you can improve that. But yeah, definitely just you need to start taking those steps and just move forward every day, because you're never going to hit perfection. And people
Mhm.
don't expect perfection. Perfection is too far away from what we can relate to. So you don't want to be perfect. You want to be relatable, and
Mhm.
just moving that business forward. And yeah, lots of stumbles. I think everybody can relate to that for sure.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think it is a case of failing fast, because although perfect isn't isn't a thing, I'm sure that even kind of businesses like Netflix, where they've been going for years and everyone thinks is amazing, and they've got everything, and they're the first to release everything, and they release amazing show after amazing show. I'm sure the founder of Netflix looks at it and goes, "Oh, I'm still not that happy," even though it's like
Yeah, they'll be failing for
yeah,
sure. Yeah,
failing. Yeah, that's what I mean. And it is a
yeah,
case of the quicker you fail and the quicker you get something out there and test it, the quicker you can adapt and change and improve. And it will get better and better and better. And
yeah,
perhaps you will be moving more towards, perfect. But there will always be, like say, even with people who have well established businesses making millions and millions and millions, even billions, they will still look at their service and say, we're not quite happy with that. And they'll keep
yeah,
trialing to try and get better and better and better.
yeah. No, for sure. Um, as you have progressed and as you have grown your business, what growth challenges have you faced? Because I know that there's so many sticking points for every business, and we tend to all get stuck around the same point. So, how have you overcome those growth challenges and kept your business progressing forward?
I think it comes back to the failure thing again. I think when I look
Mm,
back at my journey and different things I've released and different things that I've tried to do, and it's all been the process of putting something out there and seeing what sticks, and
mm,
then leaving the good stuff and working on the not so good stuff, the things that could be improved. I think for me personally, uh we spoke about this a little bit before we started recording, but when it comes to getting financially educated, there is obviously there can be a really fast way to do that, and that would be me working one on one really closely with a client. We'd it'd be quite intense for a short period of time. So for
yeah,
example, I run a financially free and abundant boot camp, and that's 8 weeks together, and it produces great results, but obviously that comes at a higher price point compared to something like my membership that comes at a lower price point but is more accessible to more people. And I think for me, I feel like I've only really hit the nail on the head in terms of who I'm serving. I've tried
yeah,
many different things. I've tried masterclasses and different courses. And many different things in my business, and it's only through that trial and error that, okay, put that out there, okay, that didn't go well at all, in fact that completely bombed, and no one likes it, it's terrible. But it wasn't until I put that out there and I tried it where I was like, okay, this thing's good, this isn't so good, I'll keep what's good and I'll improve what's not so good. And that has manifested to the point of me, I only released the membership less than a month ago, so it's
mm,
been all that work over, I'd say, at least 2 years, where I've been trying to find that perfect fit, that what can I curate that still provides insane value, still has good contact with me, they still have access to me, but comes at a price point where they can afford it and it will still be of benefit to them and they will still come back to it, as opposed to thinking that in order to do well in business, that it needs to be selling at higher price points, and that's the way that some people go about it. But every business is different, every audience is different, and like I say, it wasn't until the end of last year where I kind of had this eureka moment where I was like, I need to curate something that ticks all these boxes for my specific audience. But it
Yeah.
wasn't until trying and testing things and failing where I realized what that thing actually is. And I feel like I'm at that point now, which is amazing.
Yeah. So it's taken you a long time, really, of sort of analysis and trial and error to really understand your audience and what they're looking for from you.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite a great lesson for everybody, that just because there's no carbon copy is there for any business model. And I think
No.
just because someone else potentially is doing the same thing as you and are selling at whatever price or, whatever they're doing, that does not mean that that is what you are going to, one, feel comfortable for, but two, what your audience are going to want. You have to listen to your gut sometimes and listen to the feedback you're getting from your audience. And it sounds like that you've done that now, and the membership is the way forward with your audience, which is brilliant for you.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it just takes some time, doesn't it, to work that out.
It does. I had a lot of people, so people obviously were working with me and I were serving women at a kind of higher price point, but
Mm-hmm.
I could tell from my audience it was the minority, and I didn't
Yeah.
want to leave all these women, uh, the kind of rest of my audience, high and dry because they weren't able to access my services despite them
Yeah.
being beneficial for them. And it was a case of making sure that, like I say, it did take a while, but it was that trial and error process of being okay,
Mm.
what works for me, what plays to my strengths, but and suits uh, the the average woman out there that is looking to manage their money better and is looking to start building long-term wealth and making their money work for them. And I think it is just a case of, if you don't give up, you can't fail.
Yeah.
So in terms of failure, there would have been loads of moments in my business journey where I thought this isn't working.
So
And
in those moments, have you ever thought, oh, I've had enough and I'm just going to quit?
I think many, yeah, for sure. Many, many moments, because it is a case sometimes of where you're putting everything into your business and
Mm-hmm.
you're not seeing the return.
Yeah.
And I feel like it is in those early stages where you're you're trying different things, you're finding what works for you, and it may take you 3 months, 6 months, it may take you a year, 2 years, it might take you 5 years. But if you are genuinely passionate about what you want to do and you can see the big vision, you can see it over a longer time horizon rather than just saying, okay, it's 2 weeks, I'm doing this for 2 years and then I'm out. If you don't give up, you can't fail. If you do give up, then you can't make any more progress because you've decided not to. And
Yeah.
sometimes it is it is the right decision to pivot and to change. But I think for any women listening, where for me, this, I can see this as my life's work. To me, this is so important. This is not just for money. This
Yeah.
is serving women to help them manage their money better and to start building long-term wealth, because I know the power of financial education and because I know how it feels to be struggling with money. This is a movement. This is way bigger than just, I want a business to have money. For me, the money is the byproduct of serving women to
Yeah.
financial
Do you think
education.
the woman that you told us about at the beginning of this episode, when you were explaining your mum and her financial situation, do you think that you are sort of envisioning her in all of your clients and wanting to make sure that nobody else goes through, what she had to go through and the stress and worry that she must have felt at the time? Do you think that's sort of what you're trying to achieve with the business is helping people avoid
Definitely.
that situation. Yeah.
Definitely. I always say with the membership, as we've going through that trial and error period of trying to put something out, that of course money is important with business. That's, you have to have it has to be profitable, and it has to be making money for it to work, especially over a long time frame. And it was, even though I was offering services at a higher price point, it was never something that when I look back, that my mum could afford to
Yeah.
better her situation, despite knowing that it would definitely benefit her situation if she bought, XYZ.
Yeah.
So a part of
I
my
think it's
eureka moment at the end of last year was realizing that actually a low cost monthly membership is something that could be accessible for something like my mum,
yeah.
and they could still benefit, even though it may not be as instant, it may not be as quick, it may not be as one-to-one with me, but they could still get massive benefits from it that could better their financial situation. And this is what I say to the women on the inside of this membership, is that this is what I would have wanted to give my mum when she was struggling with money. So you're 100% right that I do think about her during
Yeah.
when I was a child, in the services I put out there to benefit women regardless of where they're at in their financial journey.
I think it's all about the tiered pricing, really, isn't it? That, these women, if they are going through your membership currently, but that will then help them improve their financial situation so they can then afford the one-to-ones if they wanted to down the line, and they wanted that more intense work with you to really, catapult their financial situation. So it's about having affordability at every level for your clients. And I think it's a great move because we spoke about this as well, didn't we? When people are financially struggling, it's hard and it does sometimes come with an element of guilt to then ask them to pay you, even though you know that what you are going to be teaching them will massively help them. There's still sometimes that element. And I think having this lower offering for them, knowing that they're not, it's completely affordable to them, but the value that they're going to be getting from that is huge. And it can change their entire path of their financial future. I think that's brilliant. So if people are interested in working with you or joining the membership, for instance, where can they find you?
So on Instagram and TikTok, I am at the Wealthy Woman Club. I would, kind of little footnote on that, there is a lot of impersonator accounts of me, especially on TikTok. So feel free to send me a message. I have put a video at the top of my TikTok that explains my username, and that this is the legit account.
This is the legit
Because
one.
unfortunately in the industry of financially educating people, there are people that try to take advantage of that with scams and things like that. So
well, we'll put all the links in the show notes as well, so people will be able to come directly through to you.
yes, that would be brilliant.
Yeah. Don't worry. But for now, I think, I just want to thank you again so much for joining us today. It's been a really interesting conversation, and thank you for being so honest as well about your past and what's led you to where you are today. Like I said, I'll put all of your links in the show notes for the episode. And also then just thank you to the audience, to the listeners for joining us again today. I hope you've enjoyed the episode and you found it of value to you. If you have, please don't forget to subscribe so you're notified when the next episode is released. And also don't forget, in the show notes, there'll be that freebie for you, 365 content ideas, so you can stay visible with your business. And for that, that's it. Have a great week, everybody, and I'll join you next week. Thank you.